It was a cold, damp October evening in Willow Creek, the kind of night where the wind carried an uneasy chill that seemed to seep into the bones of anyone walking the streets. James Fletcher, a quiet, unassuming young man of 22, was making his way home from the diner where he worked. His steps echoed faintly on the cracked pavement, the glow of the street lamps casting long shadows behind him. No one saw what happened next. The fog rolled in thicker, swallowing the street and the figure of James until he was gone without a trace. The next morning, his absence was noticed. His co-workers mentioned how he never missed a shift before, and his family grew frantic when calls went unanswered. The police were called, but the investigation quickly stalled. There were no witnesses, no clues, and no sign of struggle. Yet, the town felt different. There was a tension in the air, a collective unease that spread from house to house. People whispered in corners, afraid to speak James's name aloud for fear of drawing something worse upon themselves. I was watching from my porch that night when I saw the fog creeping up the street like a silent predator. Something didn't feel right. It was as if the night was holding a secret, something ancient and dark. Days passed, and the town of Willow Creek barely spoke of James openly, but whispers traveled faster than the wind. Rumors of strange lights near the old mill, unexplained noises from the woods, and shadowy figures glimpsed in the twilight. Emily, James's sister, refused to accept his disappearance as a mystery. She began her own search, retracing his steps, talking to anyone who might have seen or heard anything unusual. One evening, an old man named Henry approached her with a warning. "You don't want to dig too deep, girl," he said, voice cracking with age and fear. "Some secrets here are better left buried. Willow Creek's got a darkness you don't want to wake." Emily's resolve only hardened. She told Henry, "If I don't find him, I'll never find peace." That night, as Emily walked home alone, a faint whisper rode the wind. "Leave it, or suffer." The old mill had stood empty for decades, its rusted machinery silent, covered in ivy and shadow. But Emily knew this was where she'd find answers. The townsfolk avoided the place, but she pushed open the heavy door and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and decay. Strange symbols were scrawled on the walls, faint and worn, but unmistakably there. She heard a low hum, like a chant carried on the wind, and the hairs on her neck stood up. Suddenly, footsteps echoed from the upper floor. Emily's heart hammered. She called out, "Is anyone there?" Silence answered. As she climbed the creaking stairs, a cold breeze brushed past her. At the top, she found a faded photograph pinned to the wall, James, smiling, standing beside a figure she didn't recognize. Beneath it, a note. "The truth lies beneath." Following the clue, Emily descended into the basement. It was darker than she expected, almost pitch black save for a faint glow emanating from a small alcove. Inside, she found a hidden journal, its leather cover cracked with age. The journal belonged to a man named Samuel, who wrote of a secret society operating in Willow Creek for over a century. Their goal, to protect the town by any means necessary, even if it meant silencing those who threatened their power. Samuel wrote of a ritual site near the riverbank where sacrifices were made to keep an ancient evil at bay. James, it seemed, had stumbled upon their secret and paid the ultimate price. Emily's blood ran cold. She knew the next step was dangerous, but she couldn't turn back now. The riverbank was cold and misty, the water sluggish and dark. Emily arrived just as twilight faded into night. The ancient stones described in the journal lay half buried in mud, etched with strange runes glowing faintly under the moonlight. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Thomas, James's best friend, his face pale and eyes haunted. "They warned me," he said, voice trembling. "If I talk, I'm next. James knew too much. They don't want anyone else finding out." Emily demanded, "What exactly did James find?" Thomas swallowed hard. "The society. They're real. They control everything here. They own the sheriff, the mayor, even the preacher. James tried to stop them." Before Emily could ask more, a rustling in the bushes sent them both diving for cover. Figures cloaked in black appeared, moving silently toward the stones. Emily and Thomas sprinted through the woods, branches tearing at their clothes, hearts pounding. The figures pursued, relentless and quiet. They burst out onto a dirt road and didn't stop running until they reached the edge of town. Only then did they dare to slow down, gasping for breath beneath the sickly glow of a street lamp. "We need proof," Emily said. "Something that can expose them." Thomas nodded. "I know where we can find it." The lodge. The Masonic Lodge was an imposing brick building at the heart of town, its windows dark and shuttered. Inside, it was said, the secret society met to decide the town's fate. That night, Emily and Thomas crept through a side door left unlocked. Inside, the air was heavy with cigar smoke and whispered conversations. They slipped past shadows and hidden alcoves until they found a locked room. Using a hairpin, Emily picked the lock. Inside, piles of documents, photographs, and ledgers spilled over a large oak table. Names, dates, payments, all proof of corruption and murder. Suddenly, footsteps. They hid behind a curtain as two men entered, discussing plans to handle the missing boy problem. Emily's hands shook. They had the evidence, but now they had to escape. Heart pounding, Emily and Thomas slipped out as quietly as they could. But a door creaked, and footsteps thundered after them. They ran through the dark hallways, dodging into rooms and down stairwells. Bursting into the night air, they didn't stop running until the lodge was far behind. Safe, for now. Emily thought they were safe, but she was wrong. The next morning, Thomas didn't show up. Days later, she found a note pinned to her door. "Stay quiet, or you'll be next." Desperate, Emily went to the police, only to find the sheriff coldly dismissive, even hostile. She realized the society's reach was deeper than she'd imagined. Refusing to give up, Emily began gathering the town's youth. She shared the evidence, spoke of James and the secret society's grip. Slowly, others joined her cause, friends, family, neighbors. Together, they vowed to expose the darkness and take back their town. On a stormy night, the group confronted the society at a town hall meeting. Tensions flared, voices rose, and truths spilled into the open. Faced with overwhelming evidence, the mayor and sheriff faltered. The society's power crumbled. Arrests were made, secrets unearthed. Willow Creek began healing. Emily stood at the riverbank, the mist lifting with the morning sun. She whispered a promise to James. His disappearance would not be forgotten. And in the silence, the town found hope. If you found this story gripping, please like and subscribe for more tales that peel back the layers of forgotten towns and hidden truths. Remember, sometimes the darkest secrets lie just beneath the surface.